You don't want to miss this episode as we take you through our method to vision setting for 2022. Let's be honest, most goal setting approaches are dull and uninspiring and don't address the real reasons your dreams don't turn into reality.
That's all going to change in this session, so if you can, take the time to really work through this vision setting method. You're worthy of your desires and it's time for you to tell a new story for 2022. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Midlife Mentors of 2022.
Yes, it is. It feels weird. We haven't actually introduced yourself. You always go, hello, it's James here from the Midlife Mentors, and I always get a second glance. Hello, it's Claire from the Midlife Mentors and James. But he's right. This is the first one, and it's because the last one fell just before, literally, on New Year's Eve, didn't we? It went out New Year's Eve.
It went out New Year's Eve, so we're all discombobulated.
We really are.
Lost track of the days.
We are. I love that word, discombobulated. Love that. So how is 2022 treating you? Did you have a nice New Year's? And what's going on? What's going on? We always want to hear from you, so let us know how some of your New Year's goals and stuff are going so far. But don't worry if they're not going brilliantly, because James and I, on this podcast episode, are going to talk you through a vision setting for 2022. And this is based, in brief, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but in brief, on the amazing vision setting we did live via Zoom on the 2nd of January, so last Sunday.
Yeah, that was amazing. What a great session. So many of you turned up, amazing feedback, so many questions and stuff afterwards. Off the back of that, we ran another workshop this week, didn't we, on the 6 pillars of midlife health and happiness. Well,
we maxed out ours. So on our Zoom account, we nearly maxed out the amount of people we could have on it. So we got a little bit nervous, but so many people turned up, like James said, and found it really, really helpful to connect. There's a lot of power in connecting, doing goals together. There's a lot of energy and power. We even found it ourselves. So really, really excited to have shared that with you. But if you missed it,
we're going to take you through it now on this podcast.
Don't worry. And also, if I sound like I'm wrestling with something here, I'm wrestling.
It's me.
Yeah, I'm wrestling with James. I'm actually wrestling with our pom, Lola. James decided to pick her up, and she is refusing to get off my lap, but also wriggling. So if it sounds like I'm wrestling with something, it's a very overweight pom who had quite a lot of Christmas dinner.
She just wants to get on a vision setting, her goals for 2022.
More biscuits.
More biscuits. More walks.
More treats. I shouldn't say that word.
She's actually looking at me now like she wants some.
Yeah. Leave me alone, Mummy and Daddy.
Before we get into the meat of it, a couple of other things. If you are a FSB member, Federation of Small Business, we are doing a workshop for them on, I think we're doing on the science of stress, aren't we? Stress in the workplace and how to cope with it.
Sara's workshop.
Yeah, and Sara Davison, the divorce coach, she's doing a virtual breakup recovery retreat on January the 23rd.
And we're
Is that the right date?
He's looking scared. Well, don't worry, because we'll put a link to it anyway in the show notes.
Yes, that is right. Sunday 23rd.
I will.
And we're doing a session on that as well, and that's amazing. There's hundreds of people signed up to that already.
Yeah, we'll be taking through people. Well, I don't know, maybe through the 6 pillars and stuff, or maybe some other bits and bobs that will help people on that virtual retreat that she's doing. I'm going to put Lola down now. So if you hear scraping of a chair, that's me putting her down. Down you go. There we are. Off you go. Lovely. Right. So, shall we crack on rather than everyone hearing about Lola being put down?
So, first up, why set a vision? Why set a goal? Well, because if we don't have a goal in life, if we don't have a vision, if we don't have something that we're going for, life can just start to feel a little bit empty. We can lack drive, we can lack purpose. Lack of having a goal is now linked by research to levels of anxiety and depression. And many of us don't actually formulate our goals properly. We think, wouldn't it be nice if But a goal without a plan is just a wish. So we want to put some concrete steps around your goals, your vision, so that you can actually achieve them in 2022 and beyond.
Yeah, and I'd really encourage you, if you're listening to this driving, obviously this isn't going to be helpful for you to do, but I really would suggest that you take the time to grab a pen and a notepad on this one, because there will be lots of things that come up for you, lots of aha moments and things to note down and write down. But James is right, people don't prioritise their own health and wellness. They prioritise making goals around their career, maybe, what house you want to buy, financial goals, all that sort of stuff, but really fail to prioritise looking at their health. And if you don't have your health, you have nothing, because it is your wealth. So this is an opportunity at the beginning of this year, if you do feel like you haven't prioritised your health and your happiness, your own happiness, then this is an opportunity to make 2022 a different story. So, you are in the right place if you're the sort of person that you're in the right place if you're listening to this. If you create goals but never stick to them,
which is so common, by the way. I think there's new research.
Yeah.
January the 13th is generally the date most people have given up.
Yeah.
On their resolutions.
It's so true. It's why we're so busy at the moment. It's great. We're actually busy, quite frankly, even like November and December, and that's normally quite a quiet time for the stuff that we do. But everyone was really conscious about making sure that they didn't fall off the wagon over Christmas, which was really great. But obviously this is a time when people need that extra support and accountability to make sure they go into 2022 feeling healthy and strong. So, but yeah, that support and accountability really helps. You're in the right place as well if you feel overwhelmed by your goals and lack a solid roadmap to success. And you always seem to self-sabotage and don't know why, and make the same promises to yourself year in, year out, and end up frustrated and lost. And just one thing I want to say, as the great Tony Robbins says, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. So we are going to take you through practical steps to creating a strong, tangible goal. We're going to gain clarity on your why, your reward, preempt some stumbling blocks, bring awareness to your habits and limiting beliefs that always are the things that cause us self-sabotage, and give you easy strategies to move forward. But first,
I think it's really important that we reflect on 2021.
If you haven't already.
And the things that went really well for us. Because here again, it's human nature. We tend to dwell on the things that didn't go so well, the things that we feel we let ourselves down on, that didn't go right. But it's really important to recognise our success, because where our attention goes, that's what we manifest more of. So let's start thinking about what we got right, what we actually succeeded at, what went well for us in 2021. And I'm sure you will have loads and loads of things if you just sit and think about it. I mean, a challenging year again for a lot of people in the world, but I'm sure you have got stuff that you can think of that actually made you feel great, and you can reflect on and be grateful for. So just spend some time writing those things down, and remember to include how you've grown as a person, what you overcame, and what you learned.
So if you want to pause here, this is a really good time, because this is the sort of thing that we want you to actually do. So how many times have you listened to something and then not gone back to it? So, we're not asking you to do it if you're driving or something like that. But if you do get an opportunity to listen to it through and then go back and listen again and pause and write all this stuff down, because this is where mastery happens. It's the actual doing. It's not just the listening and going, yeah, I'll do it later. The later never comes, so do it now. So, like James said right at the beginning, one of the reasons we set goals is because, health and wellness goals as well, is because it is just really wishy-washy otherwise. Saying, I want to lose X amount by X amount of pounds, or even like a work goal, or I want to create that book this year, or I want to start my business this year, and all that sort of stuff. I want to earn more money. It's all just complete woo-woo, wishy-washy, when there's no parameters around it. So, all these people, I don't think there'd be anyone on the planet that wouldn't want to, achieve more, have more, all those sorts of things. But what, separates the wheat from the chaff is that those people often have plans and, look at their belief systems as well. We're going to go into that, around how they're going to get there. Otherwise, it is literally just a wish. So, creating goals actually breaks down the mountain into smaller steps so that you grow in confidence. This is a really key piece. Most people give up on their goals as they move forward because it seems too overwhelming. And your brain, when it's never done something before, can't fathom having achieved it. So oftentimes it feels so overwhelmed. You haven't broken it down into smaller steps, so you end up quitting. What you want to do is you want to have the eye on the prize, the top of the mountain, but you want to break things down into smaller chunks so you grow in trust of yourself and you grow in self-belief. It just gives you loads of energy to keep moving forward. And by the time you've done that a few times, you're halfway up the mountain. So it really is about just breaking it down into manageable chunks.
Yeah, the other thing is, when you've got small chunks, it keeps you accountable. So you can see where you are in your progress. You've got a roadmap to get to your ultimate goal, and you can keep celebrating the small wins as you go. All right, so over to you. This is a point to pause again. So choose 3 health goals. They can be mental, physical, emotional, or all 3. They often are. And really important, take judgment out of it. Sometimes when we think about a goal we want, we'll instantly let that, judgment crowd in about, oh, that feels a bit selfish, that feels a bit vain. Just take that all away. Just spend some time. 3 health goals for this year.
Yeah, so pause us now and do that.
Now, of course, we're not going to pause here. We don't leave long pauses in here. Just pause the podcast. Yeah. And what I want you to do is pick one to work on during the rest of this podcast. And this is actually a really good scheme for life as well. People can get carried away trying to achieve too many things all at the same time.
Yeah.
And here's what happens then. We just overload, 2 things. We're overloading our subconscious by trying to change a whole load of things at once. And we're splitting our energy, making it much less likely we'll succeed at any of the goals.
That's such a big one. When your energy is split, it's like the universe gets confused, honestly, and you're getting confused, the subconscious mind's getting confused, but the energy that's behind you, that you're sending out to the universe, we're all energetic beings. And if you're focused in one direction, then another, this is what happens when we say the grass is always greener on where you water it. It's about sticking to your path, staying in your lane, and keep focusing on it without being like the magpie being pulled off in all different directions. So make sure that you're really, really focusing on one of those goals.
Now, the dreaded SMART acronym. You all have come across this, either in education, in work. Probably have to do it for your job role. And here's the thing, a lot of us dismiss it. We've grown, and we're going to explain in the next step why we've grown at that, because often the goals that we have to do our SMART objectives for aren't goals that really resonate with us on any kind of emotional level, right? It's like, oh, great, if I do my team appraisal well, I might get a bit of a bonus.
I used to hate doing this.
Etc. But it's a really useful framework to apply, because it does mean you are much more likely to get to your goal. So SMART means that you should break your goal down into something that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So I said at the start, a goal without a plan is just a wish. SMART gives you a plan, right? Going, I just want to lose some weight, or I want to make more money. That's just a wish. When you start breaking it down, it becomes concrete. So let's give you an example of that. Rather than just going, I want to lose weight this year, I wish to lose 8 pounds in 8 weeks. So by the end of February, I will have achieved my goal by healthy eating and exercising. I'm going to commit to exercising 3 times a week and ensure I find a clean eating plan that works for me, and I can have 1 cheat meal a week. So we've time bound it, it's specific, it's measurable, we're checking in, it's achievable, it's realistic. We're not trying to say, we'll lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. So these are all the steps to go through. And do spend time doing this and sense checking with yourself. And also being realistic with yourself is do think about your commitments. If your goal is something maybe around lifestyle, like launching a business, do think about what else you've got going on in your life. Yeah. So don't go, I'm going to spend 5 days a week doing 3 hours a day on my business or going to the gym, if that just is not going to be practically possible for you with your lifestyle.
Yeah, and I'd say here, this isn't the exciting stuff. This isn't particularly the sexy stuff. The SMART acronym, I find, but it's the necessary stuff to get you to where you want to get. And this is the thing. Self-prioritization, self-care, I did a post on this yesterday. Self-care is about doing the things you don't want to do sometimes to get you to where you want to go. It's about, sacrificing the short term for long-term gain. So get to it, making sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you pause us now and do your SMART goal.
The other thing I'll just say on that is, once you've got your SMART goal, this is a process, right? So having a SMART goal isn't the end point, and it can never be changed. You're going to have a feedback loop into your SMART parts. your
Smart parts. Have you
you know,
got smart parts?
as you actually start to move towards your goal, you'll get feedback on, bits you might need to change, flex the time bits, whatever. I've done that before. It's like, oh, right, I'm going to learn this thing. I'm going to do this course. I'm going to just apply myself and nail it in this time. But I feel like it's a lot more detailed. I need to do a lot more research around it.
And then you feel bad about yourself if you don't quit just because things have changed. It's about, life is a process and stuff gets in the way for everyone. So, like James said, just go back to it and think, is this still realistic? And am I still working towards it? Am I still remaining consistent? I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to re-establish what looks realistic to me. So the next one is bringing it together with emotion. So you've got your SMART acronym there. You put S-M-A-R-T. That's how you spell smart, by the way. Put a little E on the end right now, because that E stands for emotion. So we call our own version of this acronym SMART-E. So this is how you bring your goal to life. And this is what actually probably found for most of you for me, definitely, when I was in a corporate world, I didn't have any emotion behind it. So I wasn't invested in it. The why behind your goal is the most important part of this process, and it's about peeling away an onion, right? So, without a strong why, you're always going to be moved back to the familiar. So your emotional connection to why you want this goal is so profound and so powerful. That's what you want to find, that it's so powerful and so profound that you want to move forward towards it even when life is pulling you back. Your why will see you through the highs and lows, and how you feel when you get to this goal is your ultimate reward. That's the same for everyone. We're not going after a thing. We're not going after material stuff. We're going after every single time to feel happier, to feel more expanded, to feel more joy. That's the only reason we ever want anything. So really understanding your why is really, really important. And like I said just a minute ago, it's like peeling a layer of an onion away. So I want to ask you these questions that will really start to clarify your emotional connection to the goal and make sure that you really commit to this. So just have a think. Why do I want this goal? Second question, why is it so important to me? Third question, why is it important I do something about this now? Fourth question, how will my life look different when I get there? Number 5, how will it make me feel? And we're going to touch on a little bit of visualization in a minute, but really go into the feeling place. How does your life look different? Close your eyes right now. How does it look different? How does it make you feel when you get there? And this is when you know you've really touched on a strong why. And when you think you've got the strong why, go again, peel another layer of the onion off, peel another layer of the onion off. Do you want to give an example here? The guy that came on our retreat.
So a guy once, ex-boxer, now like well into mid-age, like approaching 50s, but he was like, I just want to get back in the ring one more time. I think I've got it in me. And basically his why was like, I just want to show myself. But actually, as we dug into it, it wasn't that at all. He had a teenage son that was very promising footballer, but had been injured, and now was spending his days in bed, not going out, not socialising. And the guy actually broke down. He's like, no, what I want to do is motivate my son by inspiring him by my example, so that I can get him out and kicking a ball around with me and get him back on the road to his recovery and achieve and be all that he can be. So his why was actually helping his son be all that he could be.
It's beautiful.
So that's the example there.
It's a lot of the time we get all the whys of, I want to be a good role model to my children. I want to not have a long life. I want to have a great quality of life. I want to make amazing memories. I want to be able to hold my grandchildren in my arms. I want to see my kids get married. These sorts of things are your why that are going to help you get out of bed and do what you need to do to make sure that you are getting towards your goal, getting up, writing that chapter of your book, doing what it takes, getting someone on board to help you build your website, whatever it is, your strong why is the foundation of everything.
But here's the reality check for you. Life is not all sunshine and roses. You must expect roadblocks. They're going to happen. Life comes along and things are going to derail you. And they fall into one of two camps. They're external or internal. An important thing to recognise here, internal is within your control. External can be in or out of your control. So external is stuff like socialising, work, commitments, other people's expectations, travel, just stuff life throws at you. Now some of that you can expect, anticipate, and plan for. If you know you've got a work trip, you can think, right, how can I plan around that? If you know you've got to go socialising, you're like, what's my strategy for what I'm going to drink there to like moderate my alcohol? So it's really important because, like we say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
I always get that wrong.
Well, I'm not saying anything, Claire. Really important you anticipate these and be really honest with yourself and look at strategies for each one. Because the thing is, if you go into a situation with a strategy in place, you're much more likely to be able to cope with it well and come out still still going towards your goal. Well, I might say a word here. There are going to be other external circumstances which are completely out of your control. Your train is delayed, your flight gets cancelled,
someone gets ill,
Then you just got to remember that I choose my reaction to it. All you can do then is what we call adapt. So you go, that's happened, I cannot change it, it was out of my control, how am I now going to adapt to it? So just try and get to that thinking, adapt and overcome.
Yeah, it's kind of a surrender. When those things happen, it's going into a place really of surrender, and like James said, choosing your reaction. We can't change the external stuff a lot of the time that's happening around in the world, but we can change our reaction, and that is where your power lies, when you change your reaction to something. So it's all about planning, being accountable and controlling your reaction for sure. But let's talk about some of the internal roadblocks.
I love the internal stuff.
So this is the subconscious mind. This is the little pesky subconscious mind, but it's also very good. Okay, let's not badmouth subconscious mind. But it is the one thing that is going. If the undeniable truth is, the biggest roadblock you'll come up against is yourself. Right? You're going to meet resistance from the subconscious mind. And going for your goals will always mean that you feel uncomfortable. They always will, because here's a truth bomb. You cannot be comfortable and grow at the same time. They are two opposing states. And what we say is, when you've probably listened to this, or maybe on one of our podcasts, every new level you're going to experience another devil sitting on your shoulder going, oh, are you sure about that? Well, that's going to be a bit embarrassing if you fail. You tried this last time and it's never going to work. It's never going to work for you, blah, 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 blah. All those things that little cheeky monkey inside your head says. But actually switch it round. That is this is the way I now see it. It's the way we try and get our clients to see it. That is a perfect signal that you are about to do something new and exciting and expand. Because if you're not, that voice isn't going to be there. That voice is telling you, oh, there's something exciting ahead. I'm going to expand into the new version of myself if I just keep on going. Because here's the thing, your subconscious mind will always want to take the path of least resistance. It always seeks pleasure over pain. And when you grow and you go for new things, it always feels uncomfortable and it feels a bit painful. So your habits, your belief and self-identity will always try to pull you back. And we always say this, you cannot outperform your own self-identity. So what you believe about yourself is what your external manifestation of your world will send back to you. So let's talk about the self-identity loop.
So what's happening is, our beliefs influence our thoughts, which influence our feelings, influence our actions, influence our results. This is a loop that we get stuck in, right? Based on our past experiences. There's something like, the research says something like 95% of our thoughts each day are repeated thoughts, just over and over and over. Why does this happen? Well, if you think about it, we're actually exposed to millions of stimuli pretty much every second of the day. There's all this information flying in through all of our senses. Our brain's trying to make sense of it. So our brain's actually got very efficient at doing something called inference. It will basically scan back past experiences and then infer what it thinks will happen next based likely on what the past experiences are, which is a great model to go from because most of the time it works. However, what it means is we're always pinging between the present, now, and the past. It's always just going, what's happening now? What happened back then with that? Like, I always use an example of if we were a small child and a particularly vicious dog kind of scared us.
Bit like Lola.
Like Lola. We may have a belief that all dogs are terrifying, will attack me. So you see a big dog walking along calmly, you immediately start to get out. You think, oh no, big dog. Feeling anxiety, all the big dog actions. You start to appear nervous. Maybe you start sweating. You move away from it. Result: the dog picks up on it and is like, oh, what's that human doing? Why is it like that? Maybe starts coming towards you. Reinforces your belief as you see this dog coming towards you that dogs are dangerous. And you see there, that's a prime example. In the present, your mind is looking back to the past, what happened when you were a kid with that dog, and you're just ping-ponging between the two all the time. What we need to do if we want to get our goals, achieve our vision, is start looking into the future and looking at that. So trying to negate the past and move into future thinking and future pacing.
So we're going to give you a little bit of some tools around looking at self-beliefs in a minute. But we're also going to talk to you quickly about habits, because again, habits, the behaviours we have, habits are things that we do often and regularly, most of the time without knowing. Like consciously, we don't know we're doing it. They are just, we feel like they're part of make up our personality, basically. Habits do. So, what is a habit? Well, the definition really is, a habit is what you repeatedly do, and it ultimately does form the person that you become, and it reinforces that self-identity loop that James just mentioned. A habit plays out in 3 steps. So your habits are going to be the thing. Your belief systems and your habits are going to be the things that really, really rock you as you're going towards your goal. These are the roadblocks you're going to come up against. I want to tell you just about how a habit plays out, and you'll be able to relate this to your life. I know you will. So it comes in 3 steps: a reminder, a routine, and a reward. So a reminder is like the trigger that initiates the behaviour. So it could be, that you finish, this is for so many of our clients actually, you finish work in your office, your laptop goes down. That is literally a signal straight away to your brain. It's wine time. It is wine o'clock. So you shut the laptop, that's the trigger. Then walking down the stairs, these are all triggers. It's all starting to build up the dopamine kick inside your brain that you are now going to go to the routine, which is to go and get the glass of wine. This is the behaviour, the action. The reward is always, I feel so much better now. And this happens a lot. When we're stressed as well, in stressful situations, our habits kick in like even heavier, because we always want to feel safe. Our subconscious mind wants us to feel safe. So habits make us feel safe. They're normal. They're normalised. They give us a sense of ease and happiness. So when you're stressed, you go and grab that glass of wine. There are so many chemical reactions that are happening inside our body when we do that as well. I just mentioned dopamine. But it's about feeling safe, feeling comfortable, and feeling happy. That's the reward each and every time. And you just get stuck in that loop, that habit loop, over and over and over again until you have awareness. Awareness precedes change. So when you have awareness about what's going on, this is when you can start changing, because you cannot outperform these parts of you. You can't keep doing something different and expect to change, because it all starts from within. So, over to you. It's another point where you're going to need to stop the device that you are listening to us on. So, note down a few habits you think may hinder you achieving your goal. Now note down habits you believe you'll need to foster in order to achieve and sustain your goal. Now commit to changing just one of those in the next week, because any more than that will make you feel overwhelmed.
So that's habits. We're going to do the same thing with your beliefs now, because they're an intrinsic part of this. So think about your big goal. What unhelpful beliefs do you have about yourself that might make achieving it more difficult? And here's where you've just got to be really honest. Remember, you're not going to share this with anyone, so be brutally honest with yourself. Is there a part of you that is holding you back? This is where a lot of self-sabotage comes from. A deeply held belief that I am not capable of doing this, I can't achieve this, it's too hard for me. So be honest about what unhelpful beliefs you might have. And then think about your goal and think about what beliefs you think you would need to achieve your goal.
I'm just going to give you one of mine that really came to the forefront. A few years ago, I believed that I couldn't love my job and make money. So I believed that I could not love what I did and make money from it. And this kept rearing its head for years. I'm not kidding you. The pain of the behaviours and the patterns of what I was doing externally and the results I was getting was literally based on that belief. And it's why I kept failing. I mean, there's no failures. I grew and I expanded and evolved, and I don't regret any of it, because it's got me to where I am now, and it got me this insane awareness that I actually got that. God love my parents if they're listening to this, but my dad didn't love his job, so I grew up watching my dad go and make money as a necessity for his family, and not liking his job, hating his job, in fact. And that really instilled a belief in me. Oh God, you can't make money and love your job. That's just not what people do. It has to be really hard. It has to feel like striving and hard work. So just wanted to give you an example there of a belief that really held me back. I'm sure it might resonate with other people. So we are on to the magic, secret sauce. When you combine action with mindset, you get to your goal. So it's fine doing all this internal work, like we've just harped on about changing your belief systems and looking at your habits and things like that internal dialogue, that internal work. But you can't just sit there, visioning. I did this for years as well, by the way, with a vision board, getting my mindset right, going, okay, these are my belief systems, these are my habits. Okay, come on then, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? Just looking at my vision board. You have to take action, and that's how you get to your goal.
So hopefully, just before we dive into this, you've seen it, most people just go a goal. They're like, it's really amorphous. They're just like, oh, I want to lose weight. We've told you need to make it smart. You need to connect with the emotion of it. But that in itself is not enough either. You need to do this internal work. Like, what are the habits that are going to hold you back? What are the beliefs you have about yourself that are going to hold you back? Once you start working with all these parts together is how you're going to enable change. So action plus mindset equals a goal. So here's over to you. Just have a little think. What 3 things can you do, because action loves action, in the next 2 weeks to take you towards your goal? And here again is where people sometimes go wrong. They get all this all mapped out and they're like, oh, it just doesn't feel right. I want to wait till next week when I've got drinks with friends out the way. Oh, when I've gone away and just researched. No,
when I've come back from a holiday.
Momentum breeds momentum.
Yeah.
Just get going, start taking the steps, and before you know it, you'll be farther down your journey.
Yeah, it's incremental steps. There is no quick win. There is no quick fix. There's no epiphany. Honestly, it's just step by step every single day, taking the steps, doing what you need to do, and staying consistent, and keep focusing on your why. Keep going back and saying, this is why I want this. This is why I want this. There is no overnight success. You have to keep going at it. And procrastination as well is just a way of avoiding it. It's your subconscious mind going, oh, don't do that. You might make a fool of yourself. You might fail. It's just your subconscious mind again, trying to protect you. It's not very helpful. But that procrastination is almost like a bit of, it's that warning sign inside your subconscious mind going, oh, don't do it. Wait, there'll be a better opportunity. It never happens and it never comes. You have to get started. Because what does your life look like in another 3 months' time, 6 months' time, a year's time when you still haven't started? So as we always say, it is 80% psychology, 20% action. But that action, that 20% mechanics, the 20% action is really, really important. So we're going to ask you just to think about your mindset reps. Mindset reps are the things that are going to keep your vision and on board and reprogram the subconscious mind. So we've done a whole podcast on this. A morning ritual. This is when your brain, your subconscious mind, is primed for new information and taking on new beliefs, right? So we called it theta state. It's between when you're waking up and when you're conscious. There's a thing called theta state, getting up. And before you let the outside world into you, before you give your power away, set your own power, set your own intention, ground yourself, connect, read your goal, read your why. Repeat your positive statements and affirmations. Now, these can be through your new beliefs and habits. So use those. We're going to ask you to do that in a second, but an affirmation might be, I am finding it easier every day to eat balanced food. I am finding it easier every day to move my body. I am finding it easier every day to go to bed early.
I would say, again, a lot of people go, oh, isn't that all very woo? No, there's more and more research now from the world, neuropsychology and neuroscience, with on brain scanning, that affirmations do actually form new neural pathways in the brain or shift existing ones. You've got to remember, though, we need to bring a level of consciousness to it, because our beliefs and our habits sit there mostly on an unconscious level. They've been there for years and years and years. Like I always use the example, like brushing your teeth. In the morning you get up, you don't consciously think about it. You just automatically can do it.
Driving a car.
It's a habit, driving a car. If we want to rewire, we've got to bring a level of consciousness to it. So if you wanted to rewire how you did your teeth, for example, you'd be like, oh, as I'm reaching for the brush, you'd be like, right, what am I doing now? What are the actions I want to do? What do I want to be thinking while I'm doing this? So that's an example I'm sure we can all relate to.
We're talking about brushing your teeth. It's the perfect time whilst you're brushing your teeth to put a little sticky note on the mirror and have your new affirmation and your new belief sitting there, stuck on the mirror, and say it in your head over and over and over again while you are brushing your teeth. Because James is right. You've got all this negative Nancy stuff going on in your head telling you all the opposite. You know, I can't do this, I can't do that, it's not possible for me, this is my story, Well, you have to start feeding it new information because that's going on in the background without you even knowing it. Visualise. So visualise how it's going to feel when you've achieved this goal. How's your day going to look? How are you going to present yourself to other people? You know, how do you get dressed? How do you hold yourself? What do you eat? What do you do? So really visualise. Again, your brain, they've done brain scans, your brain doesn't react in exactly the same way in the brain scans as when you're actually doing it to visualising it. So there's so much power. All the chemicals in the body are firing in the same way whether you're visualising it or doing it. So actually visualise, like you getting into that slinky little dress, walking into a room and feeling powerful, holding that space. What does it feel like? What's it look like? Because actually that can become your reality if you keep visualizing it over and over again. This is so powerful. Neuroscience proves this to be true. And practice gratitude. An attitude of gratitude.
So over to you again. Pause if you need to. Decide and commit to your morning ritual. So that could be a positive affirmation. So, it's just stop, write out now a positive affirmation, a new belief or a new habit you're going to do, and write out one thing you're grateful for.
Always something to be grateful for. What is it? Neil Donald Walsh, the struggle ends when gratitude begins. Love that. So I hope you've paused and done that. And so what is the cherry on the cake, Mr. D? We're going to wrap it up now.
It's action plus mindset plus consistency, which again is where people go wrong, to be like, oh, I want my goal, I've mapped it all out, I've written down my new beliefs and my new habits, but I practiced them once and then didn't come back to them again for 3 weeks. That is not going to work. Remember, you're trying to change some very, very deep-seated stuff laid down over layers and layers. It's not easy, but I tell you from our experience with our clients, if you apply yourself to this every day, and we're talking a few minutes every day, not hours a day, you will manifest change in yourself over time.
Your outside world will begin to magically unfold in a completely different way when you do this work. And also, I would just say to add here, let go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. It doesn't exist. Just get it done. Just do it. No one needs perfect. No one's expecting perfect. Only you are. And also quit the comparison. It's the thief of joy. Say this all the time. Stop looking at everyone else. Who cares? You shouldn't be looking. I know it's easy in today's society, but just stay in your lane. This is your journey. Everyone has their own unique struggles and their own unique highs. Looking at everyone else is not going to help you. So stop looking and comparing. Enjoy the journey. You are not your success. You are not the thing that you get. It's the person you are becoming on that journey. Here's the thing. When we get something, we are human beings. We want to expand and grow and experience as much as we can on earth. This is what we're designed to be. And actually, when we're feeling out of sorts and we're feeling disconnected, it's often because we aren't expanding ourselves and we aren't living our fullest potential or moving towards it. That's when we get apathy and boredom. And like the midlife crisis, we get those things when we're not moving forward. But once we've got something, we want to do the next thing because we're always looking for that feeling of expansion. So don't think it's about getting the thing. It's about who you are becoming and who you're learning that you are on the way to your journey. Because happiness is an inside job. It's here and now. If you can't cultivate happiness now on your journey, no amount of things when you get there is going to bring you happiness because you're still taking that mindset with you. So making sure that you enjoy it and love it because it's not about the thing, it's about who you are becoming.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's just break that all down for you again. Get your goal. Make it smart. Add the emotion, your emotional connection to that goal. Why do you want it? Now you've got that. Look at what beliefs and habits you might have that could hold you back. Look at the new ones you would need. Start to affirm and practice. Step into being those new beliefs, those new habits, and just be consistent and take steps every day. and you will get there.
I'm just so excited to share this with you. We both are. And we really want to know your goals. Here's the thing, there's so much power in sharing them. So if you weren't able to make the vision setting workshop that we did live, do feel like you can share your stuff with us. Share some of the answers. Share some of your affirmations. Shout them out loud to us. You know, this is our passion. We know you deserve to achieve what you set out to achieve in 2022. It is possible for you. And you do deserve it. And we want to hear what they are. So let us know. Share this, please, with anyone that you know will find this really inspiring and needs a little bit of help and a little bit of oomph with their vision for 2022. And as always, please do subscribe if you haven't already and you're just listening to this. Subscribe, share and review, because the reviews really do mean the world to us, and we do actually end up giving them people a shout out sometimes now. So thank you. And we're sending you so many big hugs.
Have a wonderful 2022.
Take care.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.